Well, today is going to be a day of just general put together. Kevin's over here with the carburetor disassembled, cleaning the jets, cleaning the internals, putting in fresh gaskets. The float is still the old style. This is a very old carburetor. We're going to clean it up the best we can. It should work okay. It'd be nice to have a new Premier on here and one of the new anti-sink float assemblies. We'll see how this one goes. If it works happy duty, we'll leave it alone. In the meantime, I'm over here putting together some fresh oil lines. I like the translucent oil lines so I can see the oil flow. So I've taken off these really nice black, expensive oil lines and I'm going to make some translucent ones. And if the client wants the black ones put back on, that's no problem. We can do that later. But in the meantime, with a brand new motor, with a brand new oil pump, with a brand new everything, I want to see the oil flow through those lines when I start this bike up. And so I really like having translucent oil lines. So that's what I'm doing today. Then we're going to hang the carburetor, we're going to hang the exhaust pipes, reconnect all the ignition system wires, and see how far we get today. That's our plan. Let's see what happens. And the fun just never stops. Okay, so I've got the Morgo pump installed, and I followed the instructions to the letter. I've made new translucent oil lines, and you can see, if you look real close, that the one at the back is the feed line. That's the one that goes to the engine, and this line is the return line. And I don't know if you can see, but there is oil in the source line, and the return line is just empty. Now, on these early models, the later models have a T right here where they feed the line that goes up to the rockers. Okay? But on these early models, they did a takeoff right up here and ran this short line to the rockers. So we've left it open so we could see the oil flow. And this goes over to the rockers. It's a very nice little setup. This is much better than the later models that put the T down here in the return line in this area. So we've been kicking on it and we got nothing. And I even took the oil pressure sender plug off of here, and if we've got any oil flowing through here at all, it should be spurting out of here. So I'm going to show you Kevin kicking the heck out of this thing. I'm going to back up a little bit and show you the complete absence of any oil flow. Okay, go ahead. At this point, we should get oil out of here, and we're not. I'm beginning to wonder it should be pumping oil. It should be pumping oil into the engine, coming out here, and it should be pumping oil out of the engine, coming out here. And we're getting zipped. So there's something wrong, or I just don't like that Morgo pump. So we're going to think about this. I've got a stock pump, and I'm not beyond or above opening this up and putting a stock oil pump into this motor and seeing if I get oil flow that way. So here we are, trying to figure out another problem, because I'm not going to start this motor without good oil flow. That's where we are. All right, we got the timing cover off again. Here's your spiffy Morgo pump, and the oil comes down and goes up into the pump and then out of the pump out here. It crosses over in the cover to here, continues crossing over to here, and goes to the pressure regulator. We see nothing right here. There's nothing coming out of this here pump. So Kevin's going to kick on it a couple times by hand, and we should see oil coming over. And I'm not seeing anything. So what I'm going to do now, okay, this is a bleed screw. I'm going to try loosening that and see what happens, whether it's got an airlock in there or something silly like that. And I'll let you know what happens. Okay, interesting. I took out the bleed screw, and as you can see, Kevin started kicking it over. Kick it over a couple times just to show. There's oil coming out of that. Okay, so I'm going to close this back up, and let's see what happens with the rest of the that goes out. All right, so we got oil out of the bleed, and let me just wipe it off a little bit. I put the plug back in, and I fold it over the lock, and we're going to kick it over now and see what happens. I really want to see oil come out of here. Hello, we have oil. Hark! Okay, at this point in time, we have oil. So that's good. We'll close it back up. So apparently, the step where it says bleed the pump is more important than I gave credence to, or credence to? Credence to. My fault. I should have gone through the bleeding step. I've never had to do that before. In this case, apparently I did. So we've got oil flow. I'm going to close this guy back up, and we should get oil flow all the way across here and then back to the oil tank. All right, so far so good. Okay, we finally got oil return. Kevin's been over here kicking like a crazy man. I'll put a little light in here, and he's going to kick a bit, and we'll see if we don't have a little oil gush. Oh, there it is. See that oil? We have returned oil. How sweet it is. Okay, now let's figure out why we don't have oil coming out of this little guy, because it should be coming right out of there. So kick it a couple more, then we'll try to figure out what's happening here. All right, we'll work on that next. Okay, we have return oil coming out of the rocker feed line now. Let's see if I can show it to you. Yeah, good. Hold it there. Right there? Yeah, that's great. Did you just get a Yeah. Okay, so that worked. So we've got full oil return and flow into the engine. We're going to call the oil system complete at this point and finish putting the bike together. Okay, let me talk. All right, we're ready. We've got the mag pickup installed for the ignition and the initial timing set. We've run wires up to the black box. This is a temporary ground. We're not getting anything when we kick it over. We've got the spark plugs hanging out in the wind, and we should get spark when Kevin kicks the motor over by hand. We should get spark here. And give it a couple of kicks and see what happens.
I'm trying to turn the ignition on.
Ignition on?
There, ignition's on.
Ignition's on. And we're getting zipped. All right, so a few moments ago, we temporarily wired in another black box, boiler box, and we did get spark. So we're going to take this box out, and we're going to put the other box in permanently and see if we get good spark with the other box. So we're going to swap out the ignition box. Okay, we hooked up this new box. This is a temporary lash up, but we hooked up the new box. I'll walk around here. We run a temporary ground and the temporary box, and now we're kicking it over, and let's see if we got good spark. Okay. Can you see it? Ignition see spark?
Yeah, I did that time.
Let me step over the other side.
Okay, yeah, give it another
Kicking
give.
it over by hand is a pain in the, yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. I see spark. Okay, good. I know, it's so much fun kicking a bike over by hand. All right, so we've got good spark on this new box. We're gonna clean up the wires and make them more permanent, and then we'll continue the project. All right, this has been a good day. We got the oil working properly. We got a new boiler box installed and wired. Walking over here. We're gonna do these fork boots are gonna be the last thing we do. Turn the bike around. Right now we got the new boiler box in. It's hooked up to this really spiffy dual coil spark coil. And what's really neat, if you look at this little tube right there, there's oil going to the rocker boxes. So the oil system, we've been kicking it over while testing the ignition. The oil is transferring all the way up from the engine up into the oil tank, being picked off here and sent to the rocker boxes. So that's a good day. So we've had a good day. We're going to call it done. And because my lady friend isn't here to make me eat healthy, Kevin and I are going to go out and get a really greasy hamburger and greasy French fries and a soft drink. And this time I'll say it, the fun just never stops. Cool.